Alright, so we're going to talk about drums. So, things we went over last week. We talked about standing behind the drum, feet at the 45. It's like that. Left foot, right foot. Chest out, shoulders rolled back, eyes pointed, almost at an upward angle. I mean, for right now, y'all are probably going to be with your heads in the drum because you're going to be looking at what you're playing and stuff. But when you're marching, you'll understand why you want, your eyes up, chin up. After we got all that in check, body behind the drum. Again, since we're only playing match grip right now, and probably next week we'll go over traditional. We want it right about where the belt is, as in like your drum. You want right about where your belt is. That's where your hands fall. Alright, put your hands at your sides. Okay, done that. Lift up from the elbows. Look. That's where your hands go. Dropped it. Okay. Then we bend from the elbows. Turn your hand over. You're basically right where your belt is. We went over stick motion and the 3 muscle groups we have. And I hurt my arm, so I might not be able to do this very well. The just arm, which looks like this. That's just arm. Sounds terrible. Just wrist. Oh, motherfucker. Is it working? Sorry for cursing. I think it froze. Alright, anyways. Just from the wrist. Doesn't look good. There's a bunch of jiggling in my arm because that muscle is not moving, so it's moving as a byproduct, and it's just finger. No good. We don't want just one of those. We want a mixture of all 3. And so, you get this stuff. That's full extension. I don't know if we're going as this is 15 or this is 12. I don't know. Me and Justin and whoever will talk about it, and I'll pass it on to you guys. But right now, I'll just guess and say we're playing at 15 or no 12. We'll go 12 because that's what I've said so far. This is 12 inch stick height. And no, it's not actually 12 inches. 12 inches is right there. But for referencing and being close enough, it's 12 inches. When you're 12, you're going to be using more wrist and arm than you will finger. Because those are the big groups, the 2 big ones. Arm and wrist are the 2 big groups, and finger is a small group. And so, since the tallest height, full extension, you're going to be using the 2 big groups. It's going to be more wrist. And when I say it's like a basketball, I mean, think about pushing a basketball on the ground. Look how fluid that is. And you hear flicking noise because I'm flicking my finger, but you just throw it in the head. And the thing about throwing it in the head is you don't let your hand. When you bounce a basketball, you don't just throw it on the ground and let it sit. It bounces back up, right? So you gotta let it bounce back up. And I don't mean full stroke, which is this. What we're doing is a full stroke. Starts at the top at 12 inches, full extension. You throw it into the head. Now that it's thrown into the head's going to push back on the stick. It's going to throw it back up. And you don't want to. And a lot of you guys, since you're just learning this, you're going to want to do this. You're going to put it into the head, catch it at 6 inches, and pick it back up. No, please don't do that. Please do not do that. Because it's a habit that's hard to break. And it can look convincing. I might not catch it, Justin might not catch it. Because sometimes it honestly looks real. But if you're picking it back up, you're doing way more work than you need to do. And that's one of the most crucial things about drumming and learning how to drum is that the amount of work you actually have to do is really slim compared to how much you could do, You could do a lot of work and pick the stick back up every time and enforce all like singles out at like 15 with full arm motion, but you don't have to. You can use rebound strokes and use rebound. That's the second time. Using rebound is how to be lazy in drumming almost, and you'll never be lazy in drumming, but it's how to do it right, correct, and with the least work from you, and you can make the head do the work that it needs to do. So, like I was saying, um, yeah, make sure nobody is stopping the stick when they're doing a full stroke. You want it fluid. I mean, look at the arm. I'm throwing it in with my arm, and the wrist controls the width. This is not molar. It's not molar. You're not whipping it, but your arm throws it in, the wrist carries it down. Then when it rebounds, the wrist brings it back up, and the arm follows. And I can do this all day, because I'm doing barely any work. All I'm doing is throw this in the other hand. That's all I'm doing. The same. I mean, it's match grip, so it's the same for left hand. Other things to remember: the grip we're using American grip. We're not using German. German is like this with our wrist flat. No, that sucks and it hurts sometimes. We're not using French, which is none of this. You don't want thumbs vertical. We want to do American, which is in between German and French, which is at an angle. Your wrists are at an angle, not the sticks. It's in between French and German, and it looks. I don't know if you can see that very well, but your thumb and thumb knuckle aren't vertical. They're not horizontal, but they're at an angle. And the stick will always be on a vertical path. When you're in Germany, it's hard to do that because you get this weird that stuff. French, I always get out like this, but American, you're gonna be going straight up and down. And you gotta be conscious of that. Whereas when you're in America, you don't want to be doing. You don't want to bounce it, and you don't want to carry out. So I used to do that. I still have slice problems with my left hand too. Okay, I don't know if any of that made sense, but I hope so. Then we went over eights, which is eight notes on the right, 8 on the left, 8 on the right, 8 on the left. Downbeat. That was a simplified version, the most simple version we played. We played it in 12 inches, marking time, quarter notes on the left foot, or not quarter notes, but 1 and 3 on left foot, 2 and 4 on right foot, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Each new bar starts on the left foot, starts on 1 word. Before we play, things to think about, again, review. Feet at the 45, chest out, shoulders on back, a strong presence behind your drum. Oh yeah, sticks in and out. Sticks in. We're not gonna do bench. It's not gonna be flat. I don't think it's very. I think it hurts. I think it hurts the crane. I think it's creating tension in the wrist because your wrist had to be cocked back. But at a slight, maybe like 20-degree angle where they're just where they naturally fall when you put it. If you put your wrist out like that, then stick a stick in it. That's how it'll hold it because your arms don't go at an angle then flatten out like they would if you held them out straight. They do it naturally and they're at a downward angle. It's very slight, but there's an angle. Thumbs in. I don't think this is a good idea, but you want to eliminate as much gap right here as possible without creating tension in your hand. What else? We don't want to do any of this stuff. No Zoro, no sword fighting, so that sucks. And when you're in a line playing in like a lot or something, and you're all like hyper, duh, 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 it looks so stupid and you feel like an idiot. And remember, on a snare line and a quad line, you've got like 6 or 7 different people doing different variations of this, and that sounds terrible and it makes you look stupid. So, yeah, when we're doing sticks out, I mean, there's gonna be, it's impossible not to get a little stick contact, and there's gonna be a slight slice, but to make sure we are not so funny. So, sticks out, they come to the tacit position. They're at a 45-degree angle, your sticks to your body, to the drum pad. You want your beads, this is the bead of the stick, you want the bead in the middle of your drum, or drum pad, and you want to get used to that. Another thing about playing eights, I guess, is that if you're not playing double stops and one hand is going at the time, your tacit hand, which is the hand that isn't playing, you always want it to be in the same spot with the technique the same as it was when you went six out. My hand doesn't change. It doesn't, and then the next bar doesn't come up to play and then drop back down. It doesn't move. So you want that the tacit position to be at the 45-degree angle that you started at, and the bead always stays right in the middle where it's supposed to be. Your beads you probably want half an inch apart, and if you're going to hit the same spot, you're gonna end up doing this. You're gonna end up hitting beads, and you don't want that. So you want your right bead, your right hand bead right there, and your left hand bead right there. Because if you're trying to hit the same spot with both beads, you're gonna get bead contact, and you'll start hitting sticks, and that sucks. Okay, yeah, that was one. So now again, review. Sticks out. Tacit your hands at this tacit position, the set position. Sticks out. So you'll play eight full extension rebound strokes, full strokes. And remember, on the and of four, which is the last note you play with that hand. So if I'm playing the first measure, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's not a rebound stroke. I'm not doing this 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. I can't even do it because it's not in my muscle memory to do it. But you don't want to rebound all 8 strokes. What you're going to do is rebound the first 7 because those are all legato consistent strokes that are played the exact same as the one before. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and at and of 4, you're going to downstroke that. A downstroke is where you start because on 4, you'll be up here 4 and when you go down for that 8th note, that and of 4, you're not going to rebound that. You're not going to and 1. I mean, you could if you wanted to practice your full strokes and maintaining a constant height, but we're not. And you want to downstroke that. And how you downstroke is you put it into the hand, but you use the weight of your hand to stop the stick from rebounding. And it's going to rebound. It's impossible. You're not going to do. You're not. I mean, this is not a press buzz or anything like that. But you're going to let it rebound to set position, to sticks out, to where it would be when you do a sticks out. And you use the weight of the hand, and you'll hear Justin make the same about like, if you took your hand off and threw it, it'd be really heavy and you hurt somebody. Your hand is really freaking heavy. It hurts to do this because there's so much gravity pulling on the weight of my hand because it's heavy. All y'all know that. All y'all have been through this stuff. But I want to go over it all. So you're going to use the weight of the hand to create that downstroke and stop the stick from doing that or rebounding back up. That's the thing about using your weight of the hand. If you know how to use the weight of the hand, again, that's less work you have to do rather than if you don't know how to use the weight of your hand in a full stroke, you're going to be doing this. You're going to be like overextending past full extension vertical. You're going to be overextending because, again, the weight of the hand is always applicable no matter what stroke you're doing. If I'm doing full strokes, I don't not use the weight of the hand. I still have to use the weight of the hand, but I don't use it down here. I use it at the top of my stroke to catch it at the top. You don't use the weight of the hand when you're at the bottom of your full stroke because you want it to rebound, but you don't want it to like fly out because you have to catch it at some point. Okay, I'm tired of picking this up. I'm not going to do that again. Okay, that was a long spiel. So, yeah, and a 4. God, I'm terrible at this. And a fourth downstroke. Then you start off the next measure. And I guess, in a way, you could say that the beginning of anything you play is an upstroke because you're not going to start from up here unless that's what we're doing at the time. Otherwise, you're not going to start from up here, and they won't always just be full strokes. Most of the time, almost all the time, you're going to start at a set position, and you're going to have to bring the stick up, and that's something you have to use the weight of the hand with. But that's pulling the stick, and that's probably one of the few times you'll be pulling a stick and you don't pull sticks, but you have to get the stick up. So knowing when and how and what you're doing with the hand and how you're using the weight of the hand is very important. And it's kind of a weird, like, physiological thing that drumming is, like rudimental drumming, is because it seems like there's so much to know about what your hands are doing in comparison to what you're playing, which is weird, but the more you know about what your hands are actually doing, the easier this stuff becomes. It's weird. I don't know. That's so much information on eights that is kind of like unnecessary, but the more you know, I feel like the more you can figure things out on your own. And if you can, like, think about, oh yeah, Justin said this is what's happening when we're doing this. This is actually a downstroke, and this is an upstroke. Once you figure that stuff out, you can look at a piece of music and it's like it's so simple because you know what your hands are doing. Okay, this is so. I'm going way too far. Okay, eights. Cap off. Everybody's set. 4 key to the 45. Shoulders rolled back, chest out, head up. 6 in. At that slight downward angle into the drum. And then the tap off, which, if you remember, you mark time. You begin marking time on the second measure of the tap off. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and mark time, mark. And on beat 3 of the second measure, that's when your sticks come out. So, pretend I don't know how to do this because I'm one person, but 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and mark time out 1, and then you start the exercise on the 1 of that next measure. I think everybody gets that. That's not hard. So we went over eights. That's not a hard concept. Again, making sure we're getting balanced, beautiful rebound strokes that we're catching at the top, and then throwing back in, and then downstroking on that last hand, and then come back up and do it. Sticks in, which can be hard to do because it's kind of you gotta, the way I do it, I don't know if there's any other way, I don't know how else it would be another way, but when you come in, you bring the left hand in first, and you fall with the right, and you gotta kind of pinch this with this part of your thumb. You gotta kind of pinch it so you have room to bring the other stick in, and you're gonna get a lot of pinch skin, and like you're gonna hit your fingertips and probably hurt yourself because it hurts like a bitch, but it's just one of those things you gotta get used to, and once you get good at it, it's something you never forget. Along with marking time at the 45, chest out, it all becomes muscle memory once you get used to it, which I think is what's stressful about when you first start drumming. Is like, oh, I got so much to remember, like, oh, I'm messing this up. After you do it enough, it's muscle memory, and it's awesome. That was really long, and probably honestly didn't get that much done, but practice with a metronome. Keep yourself in check. Don't let things slide because you're tired of it, or because it hurts, because it's gonna hurt. And trust me, in like 5 months when we're at band camp, it's gonna hurt like hell. But in November, when you're throwing down on the field, it's already worth it. And that's just one of those things, like, you put in the work now, it pays off so much. There's nothing that pays off more than beating the crap out of another drum line, or like coming off the field and be like, oh, I killed that show. There's nothing like it. Like when we're at band camp in like 5 or 6 months, you're gonna hate your life, and you're gonna be like, I want to go home. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of wearing this drum, dude. It becomes the nicest feeling once you do all that work. All y'all probably know this, but yeah, I just feel like it's good to always think that. So put it in practice now. Keep yourself in check. Don't forget the basics, because that is what makes the difference between all those guys are throwing down, but they look like crap. Like, if you're throwing down notes but you look terrible and you're not like all the techniques and stuff, you might as well be terrible and not throw down anything at all. But if you've got like, oh, these guys look good, they're standing really tall, they're not playing crazy hard beats, or they are playing crazy hard beats. It doesn't matter. As long as you could be freaking playing chord notes, but if you got like a mean mug and you're doing it, you look freaking awesome, and that's what people don't get really. Practice with a metronome. Keep yourself in check. I've said this like 20 times. I'm sorry. This video is probably like long as heck. Practice will be good.